Hi everybody, I'm here today to talk to you about Vlad the Impaler. So this kind of goes along with my series of videos that I'm doing right now on vampires. So Vlad the Impaler ties into that, and we're going to get into how in a little bit, but we're first going to talk about who this man is and what he did. So Vlad Tepes, also known as Vlad Dracula, was born in Transylvania in 1431. Now he eventually became the military governor or the Prince of Wallachia 3 times between 1448 and his death in 1476. So this is kind of interesting. It's kind of a crazy history. Now, Vlad was the second of 4 sons born to Vlad Dracul, which is how he got his name. Dracula is, it means son of Dracul. And his father got the name Dracul, which is kind of their version of the word Draco, which is Latin for dragon, because his father was inducted into the Order of the Dragon. Now, the Order of the Dragon was a chivalric order that was created by the Holy Emperor to defend Christian Europe from the Ottoman Empire. So his father at one point fought against the Ottoman Empire. Now, at some point, that changed. He kind of reversed his stance. And in 1442, when Vlad was just 11, he and his younger brother were sent to the Ottoman Sultan as collateral to show that his father was not going to change his stance. So his father was now supporting the Ottoman Empire. And this is absolutely terrible to send your young children away like that. Vlad eventually returned in 1448 after he learned that his father and his older brother had been assassinated. Now, what had happened was when Vlad and his younger brother were with the Ottoman Sultan, they were trying to get them to support them. So they wanted them to switch sides. Now, Vlad's younger brother did, but Vlad did not. So when Vlad went back, he decided that he was going to make it his mission to reclaim his father's seat. So he ended up waging a campaign, and he fought against the people that assassinated his father and older brother, and he ended up even having to fight against his younger brother, which is really, really very sad. Now, he was victorious in these fights, but this lasted only about 2 months, and then he was deposed. So that was a lot of fighting for not a lot. Now, after another 8-year struggle, he ended up reclaiming power once again, and it was during that time that he earned his reputation and his nickname, Vlad the Impaler. And the reason that he earned that was because of his propensity for impaling his enemies on stakes and leaving them to die like that. So there's a lot of crazy things that he did, and we're gonna get into some interesting facts, but this was what he did to people when he fought them. So even in 1462, when he was retreating from battle, he left a field full of thousands of impaled enemies, and he did this in order to kind of deter the pursuing Ottoman forces, and that's like kind of crazy. So that year he did elude the Ottoman forces, but he was quickly captured by the Hungarian forces, and he was imprisoned. Now, Vlad was imprisoned for 5 years, and then he was released. And he was not released for good behavior or because he had served his time. He was released because they wanted his help to battle the Ottoman Empire again. They wanted him to lead the troops. So he did that, and he was killed that year in battle, which is sad. Now, some interesting facts about Vlad the Impaler are that when he was imprisoned for that time, it is believed that he was so obsessed even then with impaling things that he would catch small birds and rats and impale them in his prison cell, which is gross. and kind of leads you to understand like his mindset in all of this. It seems, I don't know, I guess it's a symptom of the time. So he also considered himself, oddly enough, to be to hold really strong family values. So when he was ruling, if somebody was unfaithful in their marriage, he would capture the couple and he would torture and impale them. So yeah, I'm guessing people didn't do a lot of cheating back then. There's also a story of some visiting Turks that refused to, as he said, tip their hat, so they wouldn't take their turbans off their head to greet him in a way that he felt was the way that he should be greeted. And so he had their turbans nailed onto their heads. Of course, this resulted in their deaths. But this is how strict he was. He felt that things had to be done a certain way, and if you didn't do them that way, you were gonna pay for it. So it's very serious business. He would also dine with the people that he impaled. So he had a forest of impaled people, corpses, and people that were dying, and he would dine among them to not just like admire his handiwork, but to also kind of show people what would happen if they turned against him. And it is believed that he would dip bread in the blood that was running down the stakes from his victims. So, ew. So maybe this is part of where the vampire thing with him comes from. Something else that I learned that is really cool is Vlad was one of the first to use guns in guerrilla warfare. So that's like really interesting. And his enemies didn't really stand much of a chance, I guess, hey? So I know this all sounds scary, and he sounds like a horrible person and just kind of evil, and you know, it's not good. However, he's actually considered a bit of a war hero in that region for his efforts against the Ottoman encroachment. So that's kind of interesting. Like during war times, I guess, you know, a lot of stuff is overlooked when your back is up against the wall. So that's really interesting. Now, how does this tie into vampires? Well, it is believed that Bram Stoker may have based the character Dracula on Vlad the Impaler. Now, there are notes for his novel, and Vlad the Impaler is not in the notes. However, during the time when he was writing his book, he had been speaking with a historian who had told him all of the history and all of the information about Vlad the Impaler. And some scholars believe that this is what led him to create that character. So potentially the character of Dracula is based off of this very real figure in history who did some really terrible thing in the name of protecting his people. So that's kind of cool. In my next video, we're gonna get into Bram Stoker a bit more and how his book went, and we will talk about another character, the character of Lucy in his book, and who she might be based on. So yeah, you might, if you love the story of Dracula, you might want to tune back in for that video. So yeah, if you have any cool information about Vlad the Impaler or have any questions, let me know. And otherwise, I will be back on another day with another video about something totally different. Okay, thanks guys. Bye.